The Pyramorphix is literally a 2x2 in the shape of a tetrahedron, making it look like a 2x2 Pyraminx. Most people that solve this just solve it like a 2x2 Rubik's Cube. It requires a lot of recognition and thinking, and the figure tricks aren't good either. This is a method that my friend made, and we have both been developing for the past few days. It optimizes speed solving the Pyramorphix and has totally changed my perception of the event. It is now a quite enjoyable event, and I encourage you to learn this method. I'll be making more videos about advanced tricks you can do with this method. I'm now going to get into the tutorial of how to solve the Pyramorphix with this method. When doing this tutorial, I will refer to these as centerpieces and these as tips. When you're looking at a scroll Pyramorphix, the first thing you want to find is a pair of two tips that can be matched up opposite each other. To show you what that looks like, the most obvious one I see here is this blue and yellow paired with this blue and yellow. It can be paired up like this. This is what you want to do in your first step. Sometimes there won't always be a one mover, and it can be hard to find, but if you can find a one mover, that's always best, and two movers aren't that bad either. So let's say my first step, I would choose a two mover with these two corners here. I would do to pair them up like this. You can then see that you have these paired up. From here you have two options. You can either choose to go with blue or go with red. You can often decide whether you're going to do this in inspection. This scramble I got very lucky. I could choose either one and just do a double move to complete the last corner. But sometimes you won't be so lucky. Suppose I pair these up and I get this case. I want this last blue tip to be up here. Or I want to find this last red tip, which is back here, to be right here. You want them to be in the layer above these two tips, so here red would be the best choice to go with. I could choose blue, but it's going to take more moves. I'm going to show you how to do both. For red, you have it in the top layer like this. You want to put it in the back, and you can lift up from the side that red is on. You can then easily figure out how to insert it like that. One note is that here my center is solved. Don't worry about the centerpiece though. If you weren't going to do this and you want to decide you want to do blue, here's how you could do this. You can just do a basic insertion to take it out. Here, it would actually be better to do this though, because it pairs it up. But if you can't see that, don't worry about it, and just put it in back like this. From here, you can do what we learned last time and put it in. Again, don't worry about the centerpiece. Now you're going to have to know your first basic move to solve this with the advanced method. There are two that you need to know, but they're very simple. The first one is just Sledge. It's where you go up, up, down, down, while holding these two corners. That swaps these two and swaps these two pieces back here. This will be very useful to us in a few steps. You also need to know the inverse of that, which is anti-sledge, or hedge slammer. You can do that by going up, up, down, down, just starting with your left hand instead of your right. So again, sledge, anti-sledge. Once you have this first side completed, whether or not you have this middle center or not, you're going to figure out how to put your last tip on top and orient it correctly. There are 6 cases you can get, but they're all very easy to solve. You'll see here that the tip can either be on front or on the top. We're first going to talk about how it's on the front. It could also be like this, but you're just going to rotate to make it in the front. The first case you can get is where it is on one of the sides or the front, and the color that matches up with the front face, so the face it's on is green. Here's green on this piece. So looking at the screen, it is on the right side. So you're going to start your sledge with the opposite side, doing an anti-sledge. So whenever you have this case, where green is on the right, do anti-sledge. The other case is pretty much the same. If you have green matching up on the left, because this side is green and this is green here, you're going to do a normal sledge. Start with the opposite hand. the green matches up on the left, start with your right hand. This is the worst case you can get, where it doesn't match up on either of these sides and green is on top, like this. To solve this case, you just need to do Sledge 3 times. Again, if green or any color that's on the front face matches up like this, that color's on top, you want to do a triple Sledge. You can also do triple anti-Sledge, but it won't make a difference. That's all of the side cases, and now we're getting into the cases where the last tip is on top. Remember that these centers can be anywhere. If the last tip is on top, you want to look at, again, what color the front face is. Here I see my front face is green again, and green is up here. This means if it's on the left, you're going to do basically the same thing, where you start with Sledge from the right hand, or normal Sledge. But you're going to do it twice instead of once, and that should fix that. So again, if the front face color is on the left on the top tip, do double normal Sledge. Here's another case. If it's on the top and the front color is on the right, you want to do anti-Sledge. Because it's on the right, so you're going to start with your opposite hand. And like the other one, you're going to do it twice. So again, if you have this case where green is on the right, do double anti-Sledge. The last real case you can get is where the top tip is already matching up with these front faces. Remember to ignore these centers. But if the top tip already matches up with these, then you have a skip for that step. There is one more thing that you might have to deal with. I'll show a more advanced way of dealing with this in a later video. Here, you see that the top tip, once I finish this first face, isn't on any of the sides or on the top, but rather on the bottom face. This is called the boat case because that is the cube-shaped name we've developed for it. Basically, it's not very hard to deal with. You just want to do a move over here to move one of these tips out of the way, do a basic insertion to take it out, and then you can put your tip back in. Then you'll have one of the other cases like I previously said. Here I see my yellow matches up with my yellow here. That means I'm going to do an anti-Sledge. Another example of when you have a boat case, the last tip nowhere to be seen except it's on bottom. So choose any of these tips, move it out of the way. You can either do it one or twice out of the way, and then you can just take out like this, and then solve your corner again. And note, I said that you could move it out double if you want like this. That's a more advanced case for later, where you can then do sledges to solve. For now, I would recommend just moving it once. Then I see my blue matches up with this blue on top, so I do triple Sledge. The last step to solving the Pyramorphix with this method is center permutation. This can be done in simple algs that aren't very hard to remember. I'm going to show them to you now. The first case I'm going to show you is a 2-2 swap. That's because you have a 2 swap and a 2 swap. This could be called a Z-perm on a 3x3 if you want to think about it like that. The way you want to deal with this is through this very easy alg. This is one of the best center permutation cases you can get. You want to move this one twice, and using this finger you want to come down from the back like this, and then down on the bottom right like that. Then you want to regrip and do a B2 move. That should solve this. So again, if you want to hold it so that these two need to be swapped, the front and the right, and you're going to do, and then that should solve it. The next case you can get is a 4 swap. There are ways to optimize this, and I'll go over later in a different video. But there's really one basic case. You're going to find any face and make sure that where it belongs is on the bottom. So I see that the front center is blue. It belongs on the bottom. So you want to hold it like this. We then want to check to make sure that its piece is coming from the right. Here I see it isn't, so I'm just going to rotate like this until it is. Now I see that this piece is getting it from the right, blue goes to blue, and it goes to the bottom. So you want to make sure that this goes to here, that goes to here. That's how you want to hold your four swap. Then to execute it, you want to do this. Move the bottom right up one, and then push to do a double move up on top. You can then do a single clockwise move that'll rotate the centers, and then you can undo your first two moves like that. This is kind of a complicated move, so I'm going to show it again. I'm going to move bottom up, push up like this, clockwise, bring it down, and undo. That should do a four swap. Again, on how you hold it, choose a face, put it on bottom. This face does not have this face's color, so I'm going to rotate it like this until it does. Here, this goes to here, which goes to here. So I can do my alg, which is up, up, U, down, down. The next case that you can get is just a regular two swap, where these centers are the only things that need to be switched. This is one of the longer cases, but it can be done really quickly because of how easy to finger trick and clarity of what you're going to do here. So you want to hold them in the back, one on the right, one on the left, and you're going to do basically how you started your 2-2 swap, where you do the cycle. When you go to do your B2 to finish it off, you're only going to do one B prime. You want to bring this face down twice to pair up all these centers, do a U to get those centers all paired up, and then you can undo that double move that you did and finish your B prime. Again, if you want to swap these back two, you want to start here and go R2, B2, DR2, then go to your B2, but only do a B prime, bring it down, U, up, and finish it off. This can be done kind of quickly if you know what you're doing right. The last cases are U-perms. These U-perms are 3 cycles. They can either go clockwise or counterclockwise. Here I have one that needs to go counterclockwise. You're going to solve these 3 cycles by reducing them to 4 swaps. I'm only going to show how to do that here, and it might be slower, but in a later video I'll show you how you can just memorize one alg to do it. So, if you have it going counterclockwise, what you want to do is bring, kind of like you did with your 4 swap, but a little different. You want to bring it down like this, and then bring your bottom layer up twice. You don't have to do a counterclockwise. You always want to do a counterclockwise move first with these 3 cycles. Okay, that reduces it to a 4 swap, and then you can then figure it out. So here I see my yellow goes on bottom, and I already have this face coming over here, so it's doom, doom, doom. That means it's good, and I can just do. Okay, now for the other 3 cycle. When you have it going clockwise like this. So it needs to be cycled clockwise, so you're actually going to do exactly what you did for the 4 swap. Except you're going to do a U prime here instead of a U. That should give you a 4 swap, and then you can figure out how to hold it to solve the cube. I'm now going to do a few walkthrough solves to help you get the hang of this method. To scramble, hold it so that the green is down here and red is up here, with the edge going through like this. You're going to use a 2x2 scramble, because that's basically what this puzzle is. So you want this 2x2 face right here to line up. Then want to do this scramble. F, U prime, F, U2, F prime, R, U2, F prime, U2. Take a look at this scramble and try and figure out what you would do to get your first 2 tips paired up. Wait, I'm going to go over a few things you could do here. One obvious 2-mover, for me at least, is these 2 right here. You could take this, I see that these green and yellow, goes with this green yellow. So you could take this one out and put it in right there, like that. It doesn't matter that these two centers are paired up. Another thing I see is a nice one mover. You can do that over here with this blue and red and this blue and red by doing, if you saw one of those or something else, try and go for this one for this walkthrough solve. Once you have your blue-red pair made, you need to decide whether you're going to do red or blue. Here, it seems pretty obvious that red is going to be a clear choice because this one is on bottom in the back, so you couldn't do an insert like this, like you would normally do, like that, or like this, to put in this corner. When there's no insert, that's actually good because that means you can just do one move to pair it up. From here, we get a boat case. You want to move this top corner out, take it out, and put it back in. And you have your first layer with this out. Okay, we see that this matches up with this yellow, so we're going to start on the opposite side and do a sledge. Then we have a 4 swap. So I see this goes down, it doesn't get its piece from over here, so I'm going to do this, this, and now it works. This goes to here, which goes to here. Then you can just do your 4 swap alg. Okay, I now want you to pause and do this scramble. The cube should look like this if you do it right. Take a second to try and plan out what you would do first to pair up 2 of these tips. Here are some possible things you may have seen on the scramble. The first one that I saw is these 2 red tips being paired up like this, and then you could choose to either do green or red. Sometimes double moves are hard to see, but here, this and this can be paired up through that double move. And then, if you found a 2 mover, these 2 right here, I would choose to pair up this red-blue, and I could do to pair them up. I think I would choose to do this for blue, red, and green. So to follow along, do this on your cube. Then, for the second step, you could either choose red or green. I don't see much of a difference between them on this cube, so I'm just going to do green. I see that the last tip is on top, so I'm going to put it up here and do my basic insertion to put it in. You have your first 3 tips completed, and then you're going to go on to this next one. I see that it's on the right, so I want to start with the left, do an anti-sledge to get it solved. We then have a 2 cycle, put those in the back, and do your alg. Let's do one more. Once again, do this scramble right here. This one happened to be incredibly lucky, as you have this done. So you can either choose to do red, which is already in its place, so you have to take it out before inserting it, or you could just do the one move to green, and then you have all 3 tips, which I think is what everyone would do. Then you can see here that red, so it's on top. You want to do triple sledge, and then you have a 2 swap in the back. So you can do your 2 swap alg. There you go. I encourage you to watch some of my other videos, as I will be optimizing each step of this method and introducing some advanced techniques that make it a lot more enjoyable and quicker to solve. I hope you enjoyed this event, and if you have any questions, please let me know.